We're diving into one of the most emotional, high-stakes crossroads in recent NFL history, and it's all centered right in the heart of Chiefs Kingdom.
Yeah.
I mean, just picture it. Arrowhead Stadium on Christmas night. You've got the lights, the energy, the roar for number 87. But for the first time in what feels like a decade, that cheer had this undercurrent of anxiety.
For sure.
And we're all asking the same thing. Was that the final time we saw Travis Kelce take the field for Kansas City?
It's the one question that just overshadows everything else right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our mission in this deep dive is to take the facts, from our sources, specifically the reporting from NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, and really analyze them.
Right, cut through the sentiment.
Exactly. You need to look at the stats, the financial side of things, and this massive, unprecedented brand Kelce has built off the field. This whole decision is way more complicated than just asking, does he still have it?
And we have to jump right to the core of it, the main detail first.
A bombshell.
Yeah, Rappaport's sources are confirming that Kelce, who's 36 years old, isn't just, casually thinking about his future. He is seriously weighing retirement after this season.
This isn't just speculation.
No, it's coming from people close to the organization.
And what's so fascinating here, and what really gives this whole rumor its weight, is the caveat that came with it. The sources are pretty clear. If Kelce decides to play again, say in 2026,
yeah,
it will be for the Chiefs or no one at all.
That sounds like staggering loyalty on the surface, but let's pause on that. Is it just loyalty or is it also just pragmatic?
Oh, that's a great question.
I mean, at 36, with his very specific skill set, the timing, the routes, that connection, is it just an admission that the only system where he's still an elite, highest-paid tight end is the one built for him by Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes?
That is precisely the lens we have to use. The loyalty is absolutely real, no doubt, but the pragmatism is, I think, even sharper. Kelce's whole game depends so much on the threat of Mahomes and Reid's scheme. Outside of that, his value drops, right? A move somewhere else is less money and definitely less successful. He knows it. He's a Chief for life, or he's done.
To really get the weight of this decision, you have to go back to what sparked all this talk in the first place.
By Christmas Day game.
That crushing Christmas Day loss at Arrowhead against the Broncos, it really felt like a funeral for the season.
It did. The Chiefs lose 20-13. That loss officially locks in their first playoff miss since 2014, and they dropped to 6-10. The disappointment was, you could feel it. It was cold, just like that Missouri winter night.
A really emotional atmosphere where every snap just felt like it could be the last dance for a dynasty.
Totally.
And even in that mess, in that dire situation, Kelce was still the guy. He led the team in receptions, 5 catches for 36 yards.
Right, but that stat line, it really only tells you half the story of the struggle.
Yeah.
It really just highlights the crisis that offense was in. Think about the quarterback situation. Kelce's playing with a third stringer, Chris Olatkin.
Because Mahomes was out.
Mahomes was out with that torn ACL from the Chargers game. And even the backup, Gardner Minshew, was nursing a knee injury. For a guy like Kelce, whose entire game is built on precision and timing, having 3 different QBs throwing to you in just a few weeks, that's got to be mentally exhausting.
That injury crisis is the context for everything. The Chiefs just had an absolute gut punch of a season. The O-line was a mess with injuries and guys leaving. Mahomes was getting pressured more than we've seen in years. And that offense, it was sputtering, ranked near the bottom of the league in yards per game.
And that brings us to the core issue, right? Their efficiency. Without that explosive edge, and you can't help but think back to Tyreek Hill and what he brought.
The deep threat.
The deep threat. Without that, defenses could just stack the box and key in on the short game, which is Kelce's whole world. Now, to his credit, Andy Reid adapted. He did some brilliant things with quick releases and screens.
Sure, he had to.
But the overall efficiency just took a nosedive. We saw third down conversions under 35%. Red zone efficiency fell like 20% from their Super Bowl years. That level of frustration, it has to weigh on a veteran.
So, okay, if the team's situation was that bad, why isn't he just hanging them up right now?
Well,
because the statistical argument for him to stay is honestly rock solid. It's easy to look at the 6-10 record, but if you look at his personal performance, it tells a completely different story.
Absolutely. The man still got it. In 16 games, he puts up around 839 yards, 73 catches, 5 touchdowns.
Not bad for a down year.
Not bad at all. And what's fascinating is that even with all that chaos, he gets his 11th Pro Bowl nod. Think about that. To be recognized at that level at 36 in your 13th season, it just speaks volumes about his conditioning and his football IQ.
Yeah, usually at 36, you see a huge drop-off. So what was the tactical shift? How did he stay a Pro Bowl player with everything falling apart around him?
His role became less about those explosive plays and more about just pure reliability.
The safety blanket.
The ultimate safety blanket. We saw him running more short and intermediate routes, but also taking on a much heavier blocking load to help the run game. He didn't have to do that as much in the peak Mahomes years. So yeah, his yards per catch dipped a bit from his prime, but his catch rate was still high. He caught a pass in every single game.
Wow.
That reliability is the single best argument against him retiring. The physical ability is still there.
And when you put his numbers up against the other tight ends in the AFC West, his value is just glaringly obvious.
It's a stark comparison. I mean, the Broncos tight ends combined had less production than Kelce did by himself.
That's crazy.
It is. And while, the Chargers and Raiders had weapons with better QB play for most of the year, Kelce is doing this with a rotating cast, and he's still an elite presence, drawing coverage, making clutch third down grabs when everybody in the stadium knows the ball is coming to him. You just can't replace that.
And he was rewriting the record books while the whole season was crumbling.
He was, just crossing off major milestones. This year, he passed Anquan Boldin on the all-time receptions list. And for Chiefs Kingdom, this is the big one. He became the franchise's all-time leader in touchdowns, passing the great Tony Gonzalez on some of those key marks.
So he's cemented his legacy, not just as a Chiefs great, but as one of the all-time NFL greats at his position.
No question.
Let's connect that performance to the bigger picture, to the dynasty he helped build. For listeners who might be newer to this story, how did it all start?
Well, he was a third-round pick back in 2013, the same year Andy Reid got to Kansas City. It was just a perfect marriage from the start. His rookie deal was pretty modest, about $3.1 million over 4 years.
Right.
But the Chiefs saw what they had very quickly. They gave him that first big extension in 2016, and then the really major one in 2020. That was the 4-year, $57 million deal that locked him in through this current season and made him the highest paid tight end multiple times.
And that commitment gave them the stability to build that whole dynasty around him and Mahomes. The accolades that followed are they're unmatched for a tight end.
Completely unmatched. Most 1,000-yard seasons by a tight end, 7 in a row.
Incredible.
He's the postseason receiving yards leader, which just shows how clutch he is. And of course, the 3 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
He's done it all on the biggest stage, Arrowhead Stadium, with those record-breaking crowds.
When you look at the whole history of the franchise, going back to the Dallas Texans in 1960, his name is right up there with Len Dawson and Derek Thomas. He's part of the absolute peak of that franchise's history.
He truly is. And you hear that weight of history when people around the team talk about this. Coach Reid, who's been there since day one with him, calls him family. He's been so respectful, just saying Kelce has given the city everything, 3 rings. He'll respect whatever decision comes next.
And Kelce himself, after that Christmas game, was pretty guarded. He said there were a lot of emotions, but he kept the focus on the fans and said he'd decide with his family.
And that's really where this decision pivots. It becomes less about football and more about life optimization.
Yeah.
You've got a 36-year-old who can still play, but who just went through one of the most brutal, frustrating seasons of his career. The pull of chasing a 4th ring with a healthy Mahomes is strong, but retirement and the massive brand waiting for him, that's also incredibly compelling.
Which brings us to this crucial next part, the brand, the finances, and the future. This is what makes his situation so different from past legends. He isn't just an athlete, he's basically a pop culture mogul in the making.
The Kelce brand is gigantic, and it's been exponentially complicated by his personal life. You have the New Heights podcast with his brother Jason, which is just a monstrous success.